She didn't want to look back, but she could feel him behind her. Her steps were unsteady as she moved through the dim hallway, her pulse racing like it was trying to escape her chest. Every breath burned sharp, uneven, desperate. The house was silent, yet she could feel something in the air. Something heavy, something alive. She tried to convince herself she was imagining it, that the feeling crawling under her skin was just fear and nothing more. But deep down, she knew the truth. She wasn't alone. Shadows clung to the walls, stretching with every flicker of light, and the soft echo of her footsteps felt too loud, too exposed, too vulnerable. She tried to force her pace faster, but the realization settled into her bones running wouldn't save her. Not tonight. Not from him. Da-da-da. Her body trembled, not just with fear, but with a strange magnetic pull she hated to acknowledge. She thought she had escaped. She thought distance would make her forget. But the feeling of him, his presence, his eyes, his control followed her like a ghost that refused to die. And though she hadn't turned around, she knew he was close enough to touch her. "Run if you want. I'll still find you." His voice was low, deep, and frighteningly calm. It slithered through the silence and wrapped around her spine like a command she couldn't ignore. She froze instantly, her breath cutting short as if someone had pressed invisible fingers around her throat. The hallway suddenly felt tighter, the air heavier, trapping her between fear and inevitability. She didn't dare turn around, not yet. She could feel something dark in his tone, something that promised consequences she wasn't ready to face. But underneath the warning was something more certainty. He wasn't guessing. He wasn't hoping. He knew he would catch her, and that truth shook her more than anything. Her fingers curled into trembling fists, her body tense and ready to bolt, even though a deeper part of her knew she wouldn't get far. She swallowed hard, forcing herself to breathe, but every breath only filled her with more awareness of him. The silence stretched, thick and suffocating, until finally Slalashi turned her head just enough to see him standing only a few steps away. His eyes locked onto hers with an expression she couldn't decipher: possessive, controlled, almost amused, but beneath it all, there was a fire that made her knees weak. And in that moment she knew he hadn't just found her. He had been waiting. "You knew I'd come for you." The words weren't a question, they were a truth she couldn't escape. His steps were slow and deliberate as he closed the distance between them, each movement precise, confident, and calculated. She wanted to step back, to force space between them, but her body refused to move. Her fear held her still, but something else kept her rooted. His eyes traveled over her like he owned every inch of her existence, and the intensity of his gaze felt like a physical touch, burning, claiming, consuming. Her breath trembled as he came closer, until his warmth washed over her like a shadow swallowing the last trace of light. He lifted his hands low, controlled, and brushed a loose strand of hair from her face. The touch was barely there, yet it sent a violent shiver racing through her. His proximity was overwhelming, suffocating, intoxicating. She could smell his colander, smoky, forgettable, and the familiar scent dragged memories to the surface she had worked so hard to bury. His thumb lingered near her jaw, his touch gentle, but the power behind it was unmistakable. He didn't need force. His presence alone was enough to break her resolve. And when he whispered her name soft, knowing, dangerous, her heart betrayed her and answered with surrender. "Tell me, did you really think you could disappear from me?" Her lips parted, but no words came out, not because she didn't have an answer, but because none of her excuses sounded believable anymore. His tone wasn't loud or angry. It was calm to calm, the kind of calm that meant the storm wasn't over. It was just beginning. His fingers slid from her jaw to her chin, lifting her face so she was forced to look at him fully. His eyes held a darkness she recognized, a dangerous mix of control and desire that always scared her and always pulled her back. She tried to look away, but his grip tightened, not painfully, but firmly enough to remind her who held control in this moment. Her silence stretched between them like a confession, and his lips curled into something between a smirk and a warning. The tension thickened, pressing against her lungs until every breath felt like a struggle. Her thoughts blurred, her body trembling with the weight of his nearness. She hated that he knew her, so well knew her fears, her weaknesses, the parts of her she tried to hide from the world. But worst of all, he knew the part of her that didn't want to run, and that was the part he was speaking to now. "Don't look at me like you're innocent." Her breath hitched, and her eyes widened, not because of his words, but because of how close he had gotten without her noticing. His body was only inches from hers now, so close she could feel the warmth radiating off him, feel the gravity of him, feel how easily he could close the final space between them. He did slowly, intentionally. His hand moved from her chin to the side of her neck, fingers resting lightly but with unmistakable control, like he was reminding her that her heartbeat was right there in his reach. And it was racing. Fast. Too fast. She swallowed hard, but the movement only made his fingers tighten just enough to send another shiver through her. His gaze dipped to her lips for half a second, enough for her to feel seen, exposed, claimed. She wanted to speak, to deny the truth he saw in her, but her voice wouldn't come, 'cause deep down she knew he was right. She wasn't innocent, not in the way she pretended to be, not after everything between them, not after the way she responded to him, even now after trying to run. He leaned even closer, his forehead almost touching hers, and whispered slow, deep, unforgiving, "You ran. Not because you feared me." His thumb brushed her jaw, "but because you feared how badly you wanted me." Her knees weakened, and this time, she didn't step back. "Say it, or I swear I'll make you." The demand didn't need volume, as tone alone held power. A warning, a challenge. "Promise." She shook her head faintly, trying to pull in air that suddenly felt too heavy, too thick, too charged. His hand slid to the small of her back, pulling her even closer, not roughly, but with the kind of controlled strength that left no room for misunderstanding. He wasn't asking permission. He never had. Her chest rose and fell rapidly beneath his touch, her resistance hanging by a fragile thread that was breaking second by second. She finally managed to speak, barely above a whisper. "I didn't want this." His eyes darkened, not with anger, but satisfaction. "Lie again," he murmured, brushing his lips against her ear. "And I won't be gentle about correcting you." A shudder ran through her, not from fear, but from the way his voice wrapped around her like silk and steel. And when she didn't answer him, Alda slow, knowing dangerous smile, her silence was the truth he had been waiting for. "Look at me." She kept her gaze lowered, not because she wanted to disobey him, but because looking at him meant admitting something she wasn't ready to say aloud. His fingers tilted her chin again, firmer this time, guiding her face up until her eyes met his. And just like that, everything fell away. The fear, the distance, the lies she kept telling herself. All that remained was the magnetic pull neither of them could deny. His thumb traced slow circles against her jaw as if learning her again every curve, every reaction, every breath. "You belong right here," he whispered, voice low but steady, "with me." Her lashes fluttered, her breath trembling. For the briefest moment, she hesitated, caught between what she should do and what she wanted. And then, in the smallest voice, one that betrayed everything she tried to hide, she whispered, "I know." The confession hit him harder than any resistance ever could. And when he pulled her against him fully, she didn't fight. She melted. There's no running now. His arms closed around her with a certainty that felt both terrifying and inevitable. As if he had always known this moment would come, no matter how far she tried to run. Her heart wasn't racing anymore. It was surrendering, slowing into something calmer, deeper, like it finally recognized where it belonged. He lowered his forehead to hers, breath warm, voice softer now, but still holding that same steel beneath the softness. "You tried to escape me," he said, brushing a slow line along her spine. "But you forgot one thing." She looked up at him, eyes wide, breath caught. His lips curved not cruelly, not sweetly, just truthfully. "I would burn the world before I let you go." Her fingers curled into his shirt, not out of fear, but because his words settled into her like a promise she had always been waiting for. And in that moment, caught between danger and desire, she finally understood. She never truly wanted freedom. She wanted him. And now, she had no intention of running ever again.